Welcome to the Take Your Power Back show with peak performance breakthrough coach Kim Yeater. Today's empowering program will encourage you to step into your power, to take action in your leadership, and allow your voice to be heard. Listen in today as we speak to other freedom-loving Americans that are making a positive impact in the world by standing in truth amid adversity. Learn how to take your power back in your freedom, in your personal and professional life, in technology and creativity, and in your faith. Be inspired. Be encouraged. Be transformed. Together, let's take your power back with our host, Peak Performance Breakthrough Coach, Kim Yeater.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, warriors of faith and freedom. Welcome to the Take Your Power Back show. I'm your host, Peak Performance Master Coach Kim Yeater. And today we are igniting a fire in the heart of every believer ready to stand tall against the storms we face. In a world where anti-Christian forces are eroding our God-given rights, where families are under siege and our constitutional republic hangs by a thread, it's time. It's time for we, the people, to reclaim our power. Today, we're diving deep into the battle for America's soul with none other than Mary Flynn O'Neill, sister to General Michael Flynn and executive director of America's Future Inc., one of our nation's oldest nonprofits, a beacon for education, educating patriots, defending the Constitution, and protecting our children from the shadows of exploitation. Mary, you're going to learn a lot about her today. She is an extreme powerhouse, from leading historic churches to fighting human trafficking on the front lines. She's lived the mission of faith and action. Today, we unpack the groundbreaking one-day training for pastors, for you, we the people, equipping you to lead your congregations in the spiritual war that we're at, restoring a God-honoring nation one pulpit at a time. If you're a faith leader, a parent, or a patriot that is so hungry for the truth, you better buckle up, Buttercup. This is your call to arms. Let's take our power back together, and that power is our God-given power. Now, without further ado, I get to bring in this freedom-loving patriot who you're going to absolutely love, Mary Flynn. Welcome to the Take Your Power Back show.
Thank you so much, Kim. You're amazing. Thank you for that. I'm honored, honestly honored to be here with you and be in this fight with you and everybody else, all the Americans. We are here. A Flynn family is here to always stand really in your corner and by your side.
Love you guys. We love the Flynn family. And I got to say, I feel like a neighbor. You know, I grew up around the corner from you and New Bedford, Massachusetts, which is a stone's throw away from Rhode Island.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Absolutely.
So here we are, right? God has places exactly where we need to be right now. So Mary, truly, it's an honor to have you here today. So for those who are just tuning in right now, who might not know, America's future isn't just an organization. It's truly a legacy.
It is.
So tell us in your words, Mary, what drives this mission, and how does it all tie back to our nation's biblical roots?
Yeah. Well, this organization was founded in 1946.
Wow.
These were men and women that were very, very adamant about warning the American people about the communist influence and infiltration of this country and what it was doing to our biblical principles and our founding documents and our constitutional republic. Once again, it is not a democracy. It is a constitutional republic.
Amen.
And they were faith-fearing, God-fearing people. And they just felt this real push by God to tell the American people and never stop. This is 80 years old this year. And they, did it through pamphlets and books and all kinds of ways, and radio. I mean, radio was a huge kind of way to get the word out right back then. And still, actually, I love radio. Radio is actually a great place.
Love it.
To be again, so it's just all about faith, protecting freedom, protecting families, and protecting our traditional, biblical Constitution the founding fathers cared so much about, and why they put it together like this. And so we must defend that. We must not let that go. Must
And
not.
that's it. And that's exactly what you're doing with the role of the church
Right.
action training,
That's
equipping faith leaders to reclaim America's biblical and constitutional foundation. So this is going to be a game changer, and it is so needed. So let's kick off with the core. Let's talk about America's founding principles. So
Sure.
walk through how this session in the training awakens leaders to the God-ordained blueprint of our nation, from
Sure.
the Mayflower Compact, and both of us didn't live
That's
too
right.
from
That's
the Mayflower to the Declarations
That's
on
right.
Alienable Rights.
That's right. So first of all, you need to understand that General Flynn wrote 3 books: the 5G, the AI, and the Role of the Church, with Boone Cutler, who we'll talk about later. God rest his soul.
Yeah.
This most important book that I believe, and I love them all, but this Role of the Church is the most important book, because with the role of the church, we could save this country and keep this country intact. And so the founding fathers had they had an enormous kind of mission, but they had a path they took that would find all kinds of methods and ways, and they investigated, and they read the Bible, and in depth. They read other religions. They went after other, just to find the right, perfect one, because they were running from tyranny, remember, to find a new way of life, and to be free, and to have the Christian values, be in this nation. This nation is a Christian nation. It is a nation that should be spreading the word of Christ.
Yes.
and the Bible. And that's one of the reasons that we have fallen away. We've gotten involved with wars and so forth, conflicts around the world that have taken us off our mandated mission from God. And that's why our country has fallen away from the center, which is God. God is the center of this nation. We will not survive unless we go back to our founding principles. And the Mayflower Compact, the Federalist Papers are another in-depth look. I mean, they can go on americasfuture.net, and you can read all kinds of information on these founding documents. We are going to teach the pastors and the people, the leaders, the spiritual leaders. There's a few people that are going to be here that are from other states, pastors from other states, but there's also the volunteers, some of the mission work that do in the churches and so forth. And so we're going to show them what their role is as far as what those founding principles were. And there's a lot of things that people have forgotten and fallen away from. So the history of that will be a little in-depth look, and they're going to learn a lot. I mean, many pastors today, they don't understand what those documents mean, and what their power is with those documents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're witnessing the Johnson Act come down, which is a destructive mechanism that was used against the churches. So,
well, isn't that interesting? So it all goes back to the church. If we look at our founding fathers, like think John Adams, for example, right? What does he say? He says our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. So we've got to put the first things first, God back in his rightful place. Then everything else falls in line. So, this is not history. It is truly heritage. So to our listeners today, if you are a pastor, be silent no more. This training changes everything. Mary, you've revitalized America's future with projects like Passing the Torch of Freedom. How do these tools empower everyday believers to live out those principles today?
Yeah, well, these initiatives that we brought back, this organization, by the way, was brought together in the 90s by Phyllis Schlafly, a very wonderful conservative, strong woman who wanted those conservative values and the tradition of pro-life family and freedom in those values. So she really kept this organization intact in the 90s and printed books. But what we did was we started fighting in the judicial system and fighting for our constitutional rights and fighting against these unconstitutional things that were being weaponized against our constitution, our document, our founding papers, and what our rights were. So we really need to understand that this training will equip the pastors and the believers to stand boldly for the righteousness and defend biblical truth. That's what we want, and lead you'll lead your communities in restoring a God-blessed constitutional republic. That's what we want to teach the people. We have had no civic training in school. They took that out of the education process.
Certainly did.
So that's one of their tactics, was to, get kids to not learn about our history. And of course, the Marxist movement wants to erase all history, even your family history that you have on your grandparents, right? So it's a real movement against it's anti-American, it's anti God, Constitution. So that's what we're doing,
I love what you're doing. Now, can you give me a clear distinction? Because when you listen into a lot of pastors, they're under the belief that there's a clear separation between church and state. Is that what the Bible teaches?
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. And it is unconstitutional. It's why the Johnson Act is going to go away someday. But, it's sad because our pastors, our priests, and believe me, I know this well. I worked in the Catholic Church for years, and I know that our government and people that were, in our government working against our Constitution, working anti-American, they really put the fear in these spiritual leaders to basically, you can't talk about a candidate, for example, who's, your principles, our founding principles are, against abortion, for example. So they would put the fear in one of these pastors or priests or whatever, that they can't talk politically and give advice to their congregation about a political campaign or whatever it was. That's this fear. And they said, "Oh, I'm going to take away your status if you talk about any of these political issues or whatever, those things." But these are the beliefs of our principal documents in our churches, our Christian values. This is against the Bible, the principles of the Bible, the 10 commandments, basically the 10 commandments. So, this fear is what the problem is. And you saw this during COVID. I mean,
Certainly.
You saw this during COVID where these priests were petrified, or pastors. I mean, I always refer back to the Catholic Church because they basically just went on vacation. A lot of these priests just went on vacation. I mean, it was awful. They didn't baptize. They didn't anoint the sick. So many people couldn't even see their families, and priests would go in and anoint the sick. This is a sacrament that they need, so this fear is where they got these spiritual leaders, these spiritual advisors and ministers and pastors to stop doing what they're supposed to be doing, what their duties are, their oaths are. Like you see politicians today, they're not even doing what they've taken this constitutional oath. They're going against their oaths, and we must go back to that and stand strong in that gap. That's what the priests and the pastors and the ministers need to do with the church. We need to stand in the gap and be the ones that are the strength for our congregation. Everything happens in that church, okay? And those people that are in that church, the sheep that they are leading, we need those leaders back to stand in the gap. We really do. America is grounded in Christian, principles as a nation. We must stand strong with these.
So the church has a very clear voice. Our foundation is the Bible. And I'll tell you what, if we can begin, we the people, to take our power back, to get equipped, if the sheep and the leaders, which is we, the people, get
Yes,
equipped, we will take this country back. Let's
that's right.
distinguish the Johnson Act. Tell us a little
Yeah.
bit more about that. You brought that up a couple
So
times.
the Johnson Act is, and it's an interesting, and you can read about the Johnson Act. Just go right. Except this is before the Supreme Court right now. This Johnson Act, and this was Lyndon B. Johnson. Okay, and people can take a deep dive into Lyndon B. Johnson, and this was, JFK had been murdered, assassinated, and so forth, and Lyndon B. came into power, and Lyndon was basically he had fallen away from Christianity, his belief, his pastor. He couldn't stand his pastor. He was also a guy who you would say was a racist type of a person, and
Mm,
there's other stories about him that have been told, but basically this is the Johnson Act. This is the man who designed, and this was put on after this Lyndon B. Johnson, and he basically wanted to shut down the voice of the church in politics, and said, that's
mhm.
it. Basically, you're not going to say anything that has to do with anything to do with politics, or you're going to lose your status. The threat of losing that nonprofit, that church minister kind of ministry voice, and you're going to lose your entity and lose everything. So the fear of that, but you got to remember that, pastors need to understand that
Mm,
taking government money is very, very, very dangerous. As a church, your church is supported by the people that are in that community.
that's
And
right.
there should be no need for government, for other monies to be granted. There really shouldn't. It's really where they got into trouble. And
Yes.
it opened up, so the Johnson Act opened up this idea of, if you do this, then the government will do this. And so it brought these NGOs, it brought these, ministries, these churches in the Constitution. The church can stand alone. It can stand alone. It doesn't need any entity. It doesn't need any
Beautiful.
IRS nonsense to be branding and to
Mm,
to be saying that I'm a church now because I have a 501c3 or whatever. I mean, it's just warped everything. It just made everything
right.
so vulnerable to corruption, and money is a root of evil. It is. I mean, it's a tool we need to do things with, but we must not lose our way in,
Yes, well said.
in that sin of greed
Yep.
and money.
Well said.
So
Well said. That goes back to when I think of the love of money, because
that's
when
right.
we choose the love of money, we've given way to fear. And the Bible clearly says
That's right.
there's no fear in love because perfect love drives out fear. Can
That's
you
right.
imagine if in the midst of the draconian lockdowns, people began to see it for what it was? They began to stand up, and they hadn't already sold themselves out to the government,
I
right?
know.
With the funding. So I think it's so important that
Oh,
we, the people, take our power back, just like you're saying.
well, people should understand. I mean, I think it's a wonderful thing what Doge did. I mean,
Yeah.
my
So
background
good.
is finance, compliance,
Mhm.
audit. I've been on many audits. It's the reason I started working in the Catholic Church, because I was brought in because somebody was stealing money. So they brought me into an audit. And then that's how it works with me. It's where God puts me.
I
It's
love that.
a tracker. I can sniff it out, and
It's so good.
I love to do that. Hopefully someday I'll be able to do that, and because I'm very good at it. But one of the things that was
Mhm.
interesting was, the money that Doge has found,
Yes.
when they went into all these departments and certain things they looked into, they found all the waste. And my point is that
Mm.
it's trillions that over a decades that the American people have been, ripped off,
Right,
stolen from,
right.
because it's your money. It's your great grandparents' money.
Mhm.
It goes back decades of all our hard work money on the backs. Believe me, I mean, it's the middle class. It's on the backs of the middle class and the
Mm.
small businesses. And look what they did during COVID to destroy the middle class and put so many people out of business. But the idea of what Doge did and this trillions of dollars that were misused and wasted and all that, people should be really up in arms about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Because in the churches, when you not only, if a church is getting money from the government on a grant or whatever they're getting, understand that's your money too. That's taxpayer money too. So not only are you giving your taxes away and they've been so misused by our government, you're also giving money to the church you are affiliated with that may be taking government money. That's your money too. So you're now being completely drained, by the government and by your church who's taking money from the government. So, as a finance kind of tracker, I want people to understand that this is gluttonous. This is so sinful what they have done to the American people. It's so nefarious and so criminal and so full of evil that people need to understand, like, question everything. Go into your churches, tell your pastors you want to learn about, what the Constitution. There's so much training that we can do in the churches to help the people, to help the pastor. We can take care of children. We don't need a foster care system anymore. We can have the churches and the families take care of their community children. We can have so much work being done in that church. It's something that historically religious, leaders have provided this comfort. They've provided this guidance before, to their people. We can do so much in the churches. We really need to do that.
It's so interesting because there's a scripture in the Bible that says the word of God is useful for training, correcting, rebuking, like training in righteousness.
Right.
So the thing is, we've got to have the tools in place. We have been, I would say many have been drinking the Kool-Aid for many, many, many years. And it's time now for us to begin to really hunger and thirst for truth.
Well,
and I love the fact that you bring in your expertise, Mary, and you can sniff it out, right? So let's talk about that for a second. In your background, you were you were the finance director at JFK's wedding church to anti-trafficking care. That is so cool. Like, that's peak performance in service.
The Camelot Church. That was called the Camelot Church.
The Camelot Church.
Yes.
Wow.
Because, that's JFK and Jackie Onassis. They're
beautiful.
Camelot, of our
beautiful
country, right? That's right. That's right, Kim. That church is a historical landmark, a preserve that's on a national register. It is the oldest church, Irish church, and Newport, Rhode Island was
Newport.
Yeah, Newport was a place where, Rochambeau, there was a conflict fought right in that bay. It is historical, colonial, historic, magnificent place. If anybody wants to visit and get history of our founding, country and where it came from, in Newport is got full of history. The Gilded Age, the Vanderbilts, the Drexels. I mean, I worked for all the millionaires, and I worked in this beautiful church where somebody was stealing money. So I was brought in to help with an audit. And when I came in, I found signatures that were different. So I talk about tracking. I like to track because I can identify certain things and behaviors. And one of them was this signature was different. And so that's where we found all this money being stolen. But, Camelot, JFK, was married there. His Jackie Onassis, the Hammersmith farm is there. He had a bench. He came in every Sunday at Jackie and the Kennedys. They had their certain pew that was there. The church is magnificent. It was given to the Irish by the French who were building Fort Adams. And they said, they needed a place to worship in 1848, I believe. And they said, use brown stones, and you can use the material and you can build your church. They found the piece of property right in Newport Bay, right there. And they built this beautiful church. And it is a magnificent church. It really is.
Wow. So good. All right. So with all of this experience that you've had, which is tons, and you can sniff it out, how has that shaped your vision for faith leaders?
Well, how it's shaped my vision is because I tend to have this kind of, I have this kind of idea where when I meet people, leaders need to, leaders, spiritual leaders, also leaders of nonprofits. One of the biggest things that I find, and when I go in and I speak to an organization or a church, I always ask what the mission is. What is your mission? And basically, I'm not looking for a long paragraph or a big,
Right.
I'm looking directly for a 2-sentence. What is your mission? And I ask the executor to the secretary, to the guy who cuts the grass, whoever's the staff is. And that is what I ask for. I ask for the mission, and that is where it directs me. If the mission is not clearly stated and understood by the staff, there's a red flag for me. So, and the leader of that church or organization that's a nonprofit, NGO, that is their main focus, is to keep those people motivated on their mission. What is our mission? Because if you fall from that mission, all things break loose. Money,
Yes.
you're sitting there collecting a paycheck. Okay. You're not taking care of invoices that need to be paid, or something, something that's not, it's wasting money, or saving money, or trying to build something properly, or taking care of the money that donors give to an organization. The church people give their money to that church, and you are the steward of that money. And that
Well said.
is very important to me. It's like stealing other people's money. If you're not taking care of watching that money and stewarding that money the way it should be done in your mission, then you're not doing your job. As an executive director, as a leader, you're not doing your job. You have an obligation and a duty to take care of those donors and those people that are in a church, the people that give their hard work money. It's no joke. That's the biggest thing I find is you are stewarding people's money, and you better understand that you don't steal people's money. You don't it's not your money. It's not your money to do that. So that's my biggest take is,
Come on.
it's not your money. It's other people's money. They're giving you to take care of that money. And it's very important. Very important. People lose track.
Mission is everything. I love that you pointed that out. It's funny because the church's mission, Jesus's final words before he ascended, was to go and make disciples of all nations.
That's right.
Baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I've commanded you, because surely I'm with you to the very end. We have a very clear mission. But all the waters around us have become very muddied because we've allowed the culture of the world to corrupt the church. And the church is not a building. We, the people, are the church, the flock, the pastors. We are the church. So we have a very clear mission. And I love what you're doing because you are getting us back in alignment with our mission.
That's right.
And with America's future, tell me one more time, this event we have coming up, what is the mission of this event?
The mission is to train the pastors and spiritual leaders. This particular role of the church is to help them understand, give them the tools they need, not leave them, not just come in and say, oh, this is what you do. We will stay with them. We want them to build their role and their duties to the church, and to save this country, to save the families, and to save children. Basically, we will be saving children. That's my bottom. That's the biggest thing I have, is the children are the ones that we have a war on. We're at the lowest birth rate of all history in the world right now, in every nation. And Elon Musk brought that up, a while ago. Good for him. I mean, whatever you want to say about him, he did bring that up, and that is
he did.
Extremely important to understand how seriously dangerous that is. our mission in this country, and those pastors, their mission is to spread gospel, is to spread the word, and the word should go across the country, across the world.
Yes.
Across the world. I talk to
Yes.
a lot of pastors, and they have missions outside this country and so forth. And I love it. That's great. But we need to understand our country needs healing. We need people in this country to get involved in that kind of stuff. And we need everybody to get involved.
Yeah.
And it's in your local community that we need to fix first. Let's fix these local communities. Let's get healthy in these local communities. And it's going to take the church.
Come on. It's so funny. You know, you are such a Flynn, an O'Neill Flynn. You know, what does General Flynn say all the time? He says local action equals national impact.
Oh, he's right.
It is that local. It goes back to as local as our relationship with God and our relationship with others, right? It starts that local. We take our power back here.
That's
and then here it's expressed.
Then we can do the work.
Yes.
Well, we always talk about, you know, if you're a Catholic, you're Protestant, whatever. The most important thing, and we learned this at COVID, because they shut the churches down, because Catholics they don't even know how to read a Bible. Catholics, that's how bad it is in the Catholic Church, that they'd have to go to church on Sundays and listen to scripture. They don't. So when COVID happened, I had people, what do I do? I'd say, go get the Bible and just sit there and read the Bible. And you'll be okay. You know, that's a very important thing. That's local action. Like that's like, you got to get a relationship with Christ.
That's right.
Because your church door, physical door, it could close, and it did.
That's right.
So let him know you, because you're going to be in times when your judgment comes, and he better know you. I mean, I want him to know me. And I want everybody to have a relationship with Christ, because he's our Savior. He's the one who died for us.
That's
right. You know, we need him. We need him. He needs us too, because he loves us.
It is the source of true freedom, Mary. That's how we access it. Okay, so I'm going to pull up this flyer real quick. I want everybody to see this. This is the role of the church action training. This is taking place in September. Guys, you want to be a part of this.
And we're doing this across, Kim, we're doing this in different regions. So we will be going across the nation with this. So just so you know. If you
That's okay. So this is kind of the kick. This is the kickstart. September 25th, 2025, 8:30 to 5 o'clock p.m. Venice Beach, Florida. I mean, come on, guys. Venice, Florida. It's pretty amazing. And I have to say, I'm here in St. Augustine right now. I'm in Florida, enjoying it, visiting my new grandbaby.
Oh,
it's pretty special.
Wonderful.
Pretty special. But guys, be a part of this. If you haven't tapped in to any of the events that America's Projects have done, it is extraordinary. I was just with them at an event in Oxnard. You will be awakened. You will become equipped and then activated. There is no going back. I mean, I kid you not. These are the watershed events. So this is a watershed moment for every single one of us to stand in the gap. There's a QR code here. We'll be putting this up throughout the rest of our conversation. But guys, this is one event we all want to be a part of. I'm going to release that from the screen just for now, Mary, but we're going to come back to that in a moment. And you can see right below, guys, americasfuture.net. You can go there, secure your tickets for September 25th, 2025. This event, if your church, if you are a pastor and you're hearing this right now, by golly, get on there. Get your information to Mary Flynn and her teams. Have this at your church. It needs to be where every church is activated.
Yeah, we'll be there for them too, and there's so much other training that we can offer them too. Once we get their attention and understand, there's so much threats, and they need to understand these threats. If you're going to protect your congregation and your people, you need to know what you're up against.
That's right. We're going to come back.
A lot.
We're coming back in just a moment. Don't you go anywhere yet, Mary, because we're going to have that conversation. Things are just heating up, but before we expose the current threats, threats that are hammering our culture and our church, we're going to pause just for a moment to thank our patriots who refuse to back down and who keep the Take Your Power Back show alive. And when we return, Miss Mary Flynn O'Neill is going to be back with us in the room.
Thank you.
So amazing. Guys, I kid you not. I'm so grateful for our patriots. It's because of our patriots that we are going to win the fight. They are setting the stage by standing up and showing us the way to do just that. Our first patriot that you all have been following closely for quite a few years now is Mike Lindell from MyPillow. If you don't know Freedom, pay attention to pay attention, not just to the Flints. Yes, pay attention to them, but also to Mike Lindell. And if you want a good night's sleep so that you can fight the good fight, by golly, go tap into his tools. I did.
Just like all of you, I had problems sleeping. I had tried every pillow out there and nothing worked. I'd flip-flop all night, use my arm for support, and it'd fall asleep, or I'd wake up with a sore neck or maybe a headache. Well, quality sleep comes from keeping your neck straight at night. You have to fill in that space between your head and your bed. That's why I invented MyPillow. MyPillow's patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs, and it doesn't matter if you sleep on your back, stomach, side, or any combination of all three.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get Classic King MyPillows for only $19.98. Queen size just $18.98. Standard Classic MyPillows only $14.98. That's right, only $14.98. Plus all orders $75 or more ship absolutely free.
Okay, listen, I love me, my Mike Lindell. I literally called him the other day. Mike, can you get this flyer up real quick for our Take Your Power Back California Governor Showdown? This is our watershed moment to take our California back within seconds. Mike not only answered that phone, Mike produced. He got that flyer out to everybody. Mike is a team player. Let's support Mike as he has been vying for we the people to take our elections back and to take our country back. Go get a good night's sleep. Get the tools that you need. mypillow.com/Kim. That's mypillow.com/Kim. Last but not least, I saw our Mary Flynn O'Neill holding a very special book in her hand. And that book is Fifth Generation Warfare. Now, a dear friend of ours who was a warrior in the faith. He stood very closely with the America's Project. He is America's future. He is just incredible. His name is Boone Cutler. We lost Boone. We lost Boone this past week. And I think it was a shock to absolutely everybody. Everybody that knows Boone. And we are sending our condolences. We're sending our love. We're sending our prayers to his family, to his brothers and sisters in the fight, to the Flynn family, to General Flynn, Mary Flynn, Lara Logan, all those that worked so closely with Boone. We love you guys. You guys are in our prayers. Now, Boone and General Flynn fought for we the people to be awakened. Now, they did that in many ways, but fifth generation warfare was the game changer. And I'm going to tell you why. This book exposes the psychological assaults on our minds and families, from big tech manipulation to spiritual sabotage. Get the tools that you need to fight back. We, the church, are you kidding me? We need the tools. Pastors, leaders, patriots, these tools are for you. They're for we, the people, to fight the beast, because what we're up against is the beast. The book also includes free QR updates on current threats. You can go see the link below, generalflynn.com/REF/Kim Yeater, because knowledge is your shield in fifth generation warfare. Now, General Flynn has laid the foundation. You guys, you saw them come against him. You saw them try to shut him out and shut him down. And God said, nope, that is not going to happen. The truth will set us free. And in his book, Pardon of Innocence, you're going to hear his story. It is out. This isn't just a memoir. It's a battle cry for the man who stared down corruption and emerged unbreakable. Discover how Flynn's faith fueled let me say that again. Flynn's faith fueled fight. Say that 3 times. Faith fuel fight, baby. Come on. Restores our rights. You got to go read his book. Grab your copy today. You can get it at the same place as Fifth Generation Warfare. That's generalflynn.com/REF/Kim Yeater. Every time you make a purchase, it equips you. And then it also keeps the Take Your Power Back show alive. So today, join us in taking your power back. Get equipped. And by golly, our show is just getting started, and we are bringing the warrior back into the room who's telling us how to take the fight to the church. Better yet, how to equip the church for the fight for such a time as this. Now, Mary, let's tackle current threats to American culture in the church.
Sure.
So from anti-American ideologies to the war on children, will you just paint the picture for all of our listeners?
Sure. Well, I'm going to start with when the last administration opened the borders, and American people need to try to imagine and vision and give a vision and image to this. So, and they've seen this, and now we are at a point where when those borders were open, we saw the children just being dropped. And then we saw very, very, very bad people coming into this country, okay, of all sorts, criminals, terrorists, I mean, all sorts, Chinese, all kinds of espionage, all kinds of people that were experts at guns and so forth. And we know this now because of the work that we are doing in this administration. Thank God the people came and put Trump in and gave him the Congress. And people need to understand our fight is still in the election system. We still need to make sure that we are getting out and voting against this anti-American. The elections are very, very important. And one man is trying to do all this work, and that's President Trump. And he's doing a tremendous job. He's up against an awful lot.
That's right.
So put this into perspective for the American people. During the last administration, they basically dug deeper their roots of corruption into our systems. Okay, so they just destroyed for 4 more years. We've had more destruction in our systems, bureaucracy, so forth. Also, the border was open and all these people, millions of people poured in. Millions of children were trafficked. We know this from testimony and whistleblowers and all the stuff that's been going on and all the brave people that have come forward to work so hard to tell the American people what's been going on. That being said, we have a lot of problems right now in our country because we know we have millions of people that want to hurt this country. So our biggest threat, and we see these things happening constantly. And by the way, the Trump administration and his power, separation of power, he has the power to do what he needs to do, and he's doing it. The new one is holding Antifa, as a terrorist.
That's right.
Right.
So good. That's right.
So these are the things that President Trump are doing, working hard every day. So we need to imagine all these people now into this country. Now, mind you, my brother and other warriors like him have been making these warnings decades. I mean, they've been warning. There are Americans that have warned us, warned the American people, warned politicians that this is stuff that's coming to us. We're going to be 250 years. If you think that, they don't want to take our way of life down, you're crazy. Open up your eyes and wake up and listen and get off of mainstream media because this stuff is real. So our biggest threat right now, and we're seeing this happen. Look at Texas, this Islam threat. This is very serious, very, very serious. These are people that this is not a religion. This is very serious. This is a complete destruction of our country. They're really the biggest threat that
That's
we
the
have
goal.
right
They
now.
want to take America down. Mondani, New
That's
York,
right.
all of it.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right. And their Quran says they will lie, cheat, and steal to do anything they have to do to
That's
do that,
right.
to make that jihad, that make that happen. So that being said, in my world and my people, my teams, and our intel stuff, what I want Americans to understand is that, and I say this to my brother, and I say this to many people that are on the team, the biggest problem is it all leads to the children. The children, it's a $350 billion business industry, okay, that I want to put out of business. I want to put this child trafficking, child business out of business.
Come on.
Okay. So
Mhm.
what we need to understand is that the Islam, the CCP, okay, China, CCP,
Yes. Yes.
and the cartels, which is what we saw. We actually have testimony. 4 different cartel were working together in the trafficking of children and humans. Okay. All getting a piece of the action, because it's, like I said,
Mhm.
money. It's a big money maker. It also is, paying off people, buying property, gaining wealth, money, cash. It's funding protests. It's
Yes.
fueling globalist money. Okay, because human trafficking is number one, and then we've got
Mhm.
drugs, guns. Those things go hand in hand to control the human trafficking, right? To control the humans to do what they are told to do, and the abuse and so forth. So really, we have all these enemies working together, all abusing children in some way, all leading back. Okay. 9-year-olds getting married in mutilation, genital mutilation, all this kind of stuff, kidnapping.
Islamic culture. That is
Islamic
correct.
culture.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The CCP, their bottom line, they love organ harvesting, or organ
Mhm.
harvesting is a very, very, very massive thing. All this kinds of thing that they do to mutilate our bodies, use our souls against.
That's right. In Hollywood, you've got the adrenochrome.
Oh, yeah,
These
that's
are
real.
real
That's
things.
real.
So
That's
these
real.
children, God's creation,
That's right.
okay,
That's
knit
right.
together perfectly in their mother's womb, they are being used.
That's right.
They are being killed, destroyed, harvested.
That's right.
We are dealing with the spiritual battle, guys. These are human beings that literally are following demonic
That's right.
activity. They're following demons.
That's
That
right.
is why it is imperative, and Mary, I know you agree, that we go back to the word of God.
Oh, yeah.
A spade.
Oh,
You're
yes.
dealing with demons. That's what we're
right.
dealing with. And this destroy America, it's destroy God's people. That's the big picture.
And children, number one, that'll
Yes.
pierce. If you want to pierce the Lord's heart, you'll pierce him by children, by
Yeah.
this. And
Yeah.
and anybody that is actually really in the fight, the right way to fight for children, you're on the right mission. And it's hard. It's not easy, because it's very difficult to understand what they do to children. And I know from the teams I've put together, and the people, that I mean, even the soldiers, who they've witnessed things in overseas conflicts. I mean, these guys have seen things, but that being said, it's difficult, but the Lord will help us, because he knows your heart. And he knows what you are doing. You're not going to hide from the Lord. You're not going to hide anything. He knows everything about you. So this fight is a good fight to be in. This is a good fight. And stay in this fight. Whatever you can do in your community, even these elections, go do it. Get in this fight. Really get in this fight. It's very important. I mean, these are enemies. For the first time, you see all these enemies that were at one time told to us, that are separated. Even the cartels, they're all working together. That's the first time. You've never seen something like that. They're territorial. They all have their little things they do and all this, but basically it's all evil, right? It's all satanic.
Exactly.
It's all satanic.
So what, so I had the privilege and honor of leading the Take Our Border Back movement across the country, right?
Sure.
It was amazing. We reached hundreds of millions.
That's right.
The people that began to awaken were
Yeah.
those that love God, love the children, and their eyes began to open
Yeah.
to our country being taken over. I mean, we were able to activate. This was the power of God when we just raise our hands and say, "Here I am, God, send me in." We had pastors, leading pastors in Mexico, praying with us over the border. I remember the moment I was hot mic to CNN for 14 hours that day. And we are declaring and praying with the leaders in Mexico, the pastors.
And we need
And
that.
we're praying for the children. And then we're on the Rainbow Bridge in
Oh,
Canada,
wow,
half
that's amazing.
USA, half
Wow.
Canada. We've got Veterans for Freedom, those that hold the bravery awards, the
Oh, wow.
real warriors
They
standing
are.
for the freedom, because they could see what was happening, that this was, if we peel back the layers, like peel them back, what do you find?
I know.
The
That's right.
children.
Oh, you find the children. It's all about the children. I mean, I'm adamant about this. It's all about the children. And that is the most vulnerable, the most fresh, the most innocent of all. The most innocent is the
Yeah.
children and their little bodies and everything that they stand. We must people need to understand, and they've been brainwashed and they've been groomed. I mean, grooming has been
Mhm.
massive in this country. That's why you see these kids that, this guy that shot Charlie Kirk. I mean, these are people that have been changed. Their minds have been completely taken over to do very evil things. I mean, to take another person's life is insane.
Right.
The mental illness is a combination today. And
Yeah.
I know this because, in the Catholic Church, I had a great friend who was an exorcist priest. So there's an increase in that exorcism in their ministry too. So
Mhm.
the mental illness has mushed kind of with the
Yes.
demonic, and it's all being used
Yes.
to control, to take over, and it's
Mhm.
very powerful. And that's why we have to understand the prayer and the power of knowing the courts of heaven,
Yes. Come
knowing the
on.
spiritual warfare that
That's right.
we must practice, this counter, prayer, counter, anti, evil. We must counter with truth and light and love from Christ. We must. And
I
it will.
love it. I love it. I love it. Yes, you, Mary, I just love you. Yes, we have a power given to us. Jesus says, "You will do even greater things than me."
That's
The
right.
power of prayer. God spoke everything into existence with the power of word. Guys, Jesus was the living word,
That's
right? So we got to declare it, we got to speak it, and we've got to take action. We need to know, how do we get into the fight? How do we get equipped? This course, this training is going to equip us for the fight so that we can distinguish what is America's threat. What is how does the church handle this? So let me ask you this,
And
Mary.
what can you do? What's your
In
power?
what
They got a lot of
can-
power.
Yes, that's so well. So what can you do? How can you take your God-given power back? And how can you use your gifts and talents?
That's right.
Every single one of us has distinguishable gifts and talents. The things that Mary can do, how she sniffs it out. I mean, that woman is an expert in her arena. Like,
Yeah.
listen, I have different talents than Mary,
Right.
but Mary, God is utilizing her exactly where she needs to be. He's utilizing me where I need to be, and he's going to
right.
utilize you where
right.
you need to be. Now, Mary, let me ask you this.
Sure.
In the anti-Christian culture, what's the church's non-negotiable role? And how do we shift from sidelines to front lines?
Non-negotiable is to stand strong in your own jobs. They have a job, pastors, ministers, apostolates, bishops,
Mhm.
priests, they have a specific duty. They will be held accountable more so than the people that are not in those positions. So you need to look inside your soul and your heart, and when you call yourself a pastor or a priest or a bishop, you better stand by what you are supposed to be, and you better not be a fraud or a fake or a phony, because we don't have time
Nope.
for that anymore. So I would say that they need to look very deep inside, and if they can't do that, then get out of it. Get out of it. And I say this about, there's so many churches. I mean, I'm down here in Florida. I was in Texas. There's churches everywhere. It's one of the things that happened in this country. They allowed all these churches to get these, nonprofit statuses and all this kind of stuff. And this, there's a lot of churches that are not doing. In fact, we know through the intel that we know, many of these churches that are saying they're Christian churches, they're satanic. They're practicing satanic. So, I want them to understand that, and the people need to understand how they need to look for that. Because I get a lot of people say, what church should I go to? Is this pastor good? Is this priest? I get that all the time. And there's certain things that you can look for, and you need to be able to not be afraid to ask those pastors what they believe in. So are we going to have another pandemic? Are you going to shut the churches down? Are you going to stand against this candidate what does he do for child trafficking? How does he protect children? Like, ask those questions.
Beautiful.
Those pastors need to be on the same pages as his people are. And the people need to demand that. The power of the people is so massive. And just know that when Trump won, that's the power. It proved the power that they gave President Trump that presidency from voting and from coming out and doing that. But not only that, they gave him the Senate and the whole Congress. That's the power people have, and God bless the people.
Come on. I love it.
Power up.
This is about taking our God-given power back. The church stands for righteousness. We need to be righteousness in the church and take action. I say, and what we just saw with Charlie Kirk. Now we have been honoring Charlie Kirk since that horrible day, right? And many of us have been, paying close attention, Mary. A lot of, we just took Charlie for granted in a lot of ways because we love what Charlie's doing. He's making a difference. Our churches, we have TPUSA groups all throughout our churches. We love it, right? But I'll tell you what, when you lose somebody, all of a sudden you're like, oh man. And I've been listening to his words over and over. What a truth teller.
Oh yeah, he was brilliant,
really brilliant. And I think at this time, Mary, there's something we've been saying in our neck of the woods: fight like Charlie, because Charlie fought like Jesus.
That's right.
I'm putting that on. I'm taking that out, that I'm going to fight like Charlie because he fought like Jesus.
That's right.
Now, Mary, you are somebody who has been fighting like Charlie. You've been fighting like Jesus. And your law and policy program, over 100 amicus briefs that keep defense, right? So how can pastors plug into that for their flock?
Sure, they should first of all go to the site. Okay, our law. That's what we started doing because that was where our money the donor money needed to go. Okay, when I first took this over and Michael, accepted the chairmanship and all that, and I looked at what we were doing, and really we needed to revive this organization. But how to revive it was everybody sees these judges now, right? So you see this really activism, weaponized judge, right? These judges that are look at they're doing, right? Well, so that's where the infiltration of Soros and so forth, these bad, people who hate this country went into. They went into the AGs and they put DAs in. So they went into our judicial system and they destroyed, like the education system. They went in to destroy the education system. So these are places where the judicial system is where we needed to fight, because all these unconstitutional decisions and takedowns, like the statues and so forth, were happening, and our Constitution was being ripped away. So that's what we did. We started fighting, and yes, we've got the Chevron case. We won. We just had 9 victories in a row. The last one was this one case for President Trump that he can fire people. So these cases, pastors should go into our lawfare, our law section and policy, and read these cases. We're on this, Johnson. We have 3 tranny cases. We were on the Planned Parenthood case. We've been on massive cases because we don't just take one kind of subject. What we've done is we have taken the biggest cases that are against our First, our Second Amendment, our Fourth Amendment, our 14th Amendment, all the big cases that are trying to rip our Constitution away, our Bill of Rights away. We have fought on those cases, and they're big cases. So we had the first military religious exempt case. We had the OSHA case we won.
Wow.
So we've been on these cases, and the amicus briefs that we've been filing, we've got, I think they filed like 6 last week. There's like 5 coming up because they are suing the president, the administration daily, like hundreds of lawsuits daily. So these amicuses are our voice. These are the way we can fight these decisions in the Supreme Court. And that's where we are. We're fighting in the Supreme Court. And it's just amazing the work and kind of, the momentum we have going here. And we're winning, and we're going to win. We're going to continue to win. And I encourage pastors to go and read these cases, or get a group of people that are in your church that want to do something. There's people in there that can learn how to legislate. Okay, we can teach them how to legislate. I've got great instructors. Bring us in. We can teach people how to go get legislation, get things done, learn the laws, learn these cases, learn your rights. People can sit around and talk about these cases and how it affects them locally. And it will, because it trickles from the federal to the state to the local, all the way down. And it has to do with our rights. So
Mary, you are dropping wisdom bombs. And I'll tell you what, Dr. Douglas G. Frank, who you know, world-renowned physicist, exposing election fraud in 46 states. He has a 7-step plan. Everything you're talking about it's how do you organize? What are the gifts of the people? Somebody who, if each group could focus on a specific area and you come together and unite, you can move a mountain. And that's what you're talking about. Absolutely. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to hold that fire before we arm you guys, our listeners, with action steps to secure your future. A quick break to fuel the fuel of the fight. We'll be back in just a moment. And what we're going to talk about is the role of the church action training, America's future, equipping faith leaders to reclaim America's biblical constitutional foundations, and then your call to action. So, Mary, I'm going to bring you back into the room in just a moment.
All right.
Wow, guys. Mary Flynn O'Neill, I got to say, an absolute rock star. She is extraordinary. I always feel honored when I get to have the truth tellers here. And I think when you're somebody that seeks truth and pursues it, God puts those people in your pathway. And he has an incredible message for every single one of us today. So listen, if you're just popping in here, share this with everybody. Like, subscribe. You want to catch the end of the show. But we've got 2 commercials I'm going to pop over real quick. The first one is our Patriots Made resource. Now, they're not just commercials, guys. These are our sponsors. These are the freedom-loving patriots that keep freedom alive, that allow this show, the Take Your Power Back show, to be right here today with Mary Flynn O'Neill. Patriots Made. Here's the deal. We are in the midst of economic warfare. Where we're spending our money, we're voting. So the question is this: where do you spend your money? Are you still supporting the big box retailers, the Procter & Gamble, Colgate and Palmolive, Johnson & Johnson, Unilever? Let's take some inventory. Those big box retailers are fed by BlackRock and Vanguard. The big box retailers, they have parabens, alcohol, sulfates, triclosan, quaternary disinfectants, formaldehydes. Those literally are heavy metals and poisons going into the bloodstream. You've been hearing it from Kennedy. Maha, make America healthy again. It's time to take our power back on that very local level. What goes here? What is surrounding us? So we can take our power back by making the switch to America's largest health and wellness manufacturer. USA today named them America's best brand. Guys, our Patriots Made resource is what I call the bomb diggity. 20 years ago, I tapped on in. Best decision I ever made. Bye-bye eczema in a week. Daughter Ashley's allergies gone by the end of the year. She graduates from college, breaks the school record of the fastest goal scored in the history of the school, 17 seconds. You got to love that number, let me tell you. But the point is, Ashley can breathe now. And last but not least, I was living in pain. I mean, come on, college athlete. Here I am, somebody that has a strong body, an athlete, and I have 4 babies, and I am in back labor and left with 10% of my L5 disc, buying time for disc replacement surgery. Thank you, Jesus, and thank you to our Patriots Made resource. No surgery to this day. Spartan races, sprint triathlons, mud runs. We have helped thousands. It's your turn. Take your power back today. Stop settling for less. Go to patriotsmade.com/Kim. You'll see a video. You'll have access to the story yourself, and you get to take your power back. That's patriotsmade.com/Kim. Now, our last sponsor that we get to share about today, what an absolute blessing, is our freedomsteaksnow.com sponsor. What the heck is a Freedom Steaks Now? I don't know about you. I like my steaks with no hormones, and I like my steaks with no antibiotics and never, ever mRNA or Zeranol. Listen, what are they putting in your food? We now are becoming more and more educated, and our eyes are being opened, what they're doing with the soil. You've heard of the glyphosate, but what they're beginning to put in your cattle. What if you could actually tap into an American cattle raiser that roams across, these cattle roam across 6 fields, 6 huge pastures in our good old USA that do not have poisons on the crops. And this is called vertical integration. We know that baby calf the whole time it's been with its mama. This company is amazing. Tap on in today. I got to tell you, I say it often. I've had beef at Mar-a-Lago. I've had beef at the highest level steakhouses. And thank you, President Trump. I love my beef, but I love my freedomsteaksnow.com. The ribeyes are the bomb. Go get your beef today. freedomsteaksnow.com/Kim, delivered to your door. Take your beef back. freedomsteaksnow.com/Kim. All right, my freedom-loving patriots, we're going to release that in without further ado. We have the grand finale of today's show. We have been listening to Mary Flynn O'Neill, americasfuture.net. She is an absolute warrior. We're going to finish off the show today with a call to action. Mary, I got to tell you, you are a warrior. To have you in the room today has been a blessing, not just for me, yes, for me, but for every single listener. And I have to tell you, there was a moment right before I took on the Take Our Border Back movement. I was at AmFest, and I was squeezed in the middle of Tom Holman on one side and Derek Maltz on the other side. And I kid you not, I had already had people, who were at the border who were feeding me information. So I was already reporting on that. But in that moment, when I saw my warriors that protect my freedom, our freedom hamstrung, it activated something in me. So I think about you. You sit in the middle of 2 general brothers squeezed in the middle, and here you are, Mary Flynn.
Well, they were funny growing up with those 2 boys. They're great men. And I do have another brother who's a 4-star who just retired out of the command in the Pacific. And Charlie is a wonderful guy. I mean, he's my little brother. My General Mike is my big brother. So yeah, I learned a lot from them. I am the spiritual warrior because I had that gift as a child, very, very young, knew it very young, could feel it. It just was, how you just know. So I knew. And I was always kind of trying to keep them from, they were very intense playing war games, as they were different kind of guys. Kids growing up, we weren't playing football all the time. We were playing war games. So it was fun to watch them. But sometimes I'd have to call my father in or my mother in because it was, serious. They're serious. They're serious. It was great, but one was a protector and the other one taught me a lot of, and I was his protector or
Yeah.
his big sister. So it was
Yes.
a great dynamic, and it is historical. It's the first time that I can find that was two brothers that were generals since the Civil War. So it is a historical
Yes.
kind
Oh
of
my
thing,
God.
and God
Yes.
God has positioned those two boys in a time where it's quite a time, right?
It
Quite
is
a time.
quite a time. It's
It's
kind
a
of that
good time to be
moment.
alive too, though.
It's a good time to be alive, Mary. So, Mary, we've covered the why. Now, the how.
Sure.
So, we talk about secure communication, security, and research in a
Yeah.
surveillance state, which many are concerned
Yeah.
is coming to us like a freight train.
Yes.
How does this training of pastors to protect their message and people
Right.
equip them?
Well, so first of all, they need to understand 5G and AI, okay, and the technology that's being used against the people and the children, okay? So these kinds of things will be taught to them, and this is stuff that's constantly, remember, criminals, nefarious behavior is constantly changing. They're constantly looking to see what the good guys are doing. Okay. We're talking, the way war is, right? So
Right.
they're constantly changing their tactics and their ways to hurt, right? Or to, crush
Sure.
our country, get
Mhm.
their way about them. So we need to, so pastors, especially spiritual leaders, they need to understand what their families are, how they're living, like what kids are doing on computers, on games, on TV, and what they're watching, what they're spending time doing, what's going on in their
Mm.
schools. So it's important that these pastors understand and how to protect their churches or their parishes or whatever it is, because those communities, like I remember taking active shooter training years ago
Wow. Mm.
in the church that I was, JFK church, the Camelot church. We had my whole staff did that, and
Amazing.
that was like, it was kind of different for the priest. Actually, he never attended. How about that? He never attended. The staff did, but he never attended. So
Wow.
it's important that the priest or the parish or the pastor, the minister, just understands, how to protect. Oh, here's another thing that people don't
Mhm.
understand. A pastor has the right to ask the law enforcement in that community who are the sexual, criminals,
Mhm.
sex offenders. And many times when we go into a church, many times, like we were just in California, there were like over 350 sex offenders right in a 3-mile vicinity of that church. So the pastors have an obligation to protect, right? I mean, go and get that information and post that, give that to your people that
Good.
are conducting your schools for children, because they're going to be everywhere they're around children. Not only
Mhm.
the children need protecting, but the families do too. You need to know, who's in your vicinity that is a potential threat. You need to know where mosques are. You need to know where all these kinds of, threats are. And you can get this information. It's very important that technology become a part of the parish or the church. And so we're going to train on secure communications. We're
Beautiful.
going to train on how security should be done and research. Okay. And how to research. And there's certainly so much they need to learn about, but constantly
Yes.
update. There's new websites constant. There's sites that they can go to, they can't go to. There's certain things that they'll understand. I mean, Facebook, for example, is like, be careful of Facebook.
This is so good. This is essential for equipping
It
faith
is.
leaders to reclaim America's biblical and constitutional foundations. We've got to protect the church to get the word out, to share the good news. So they need to know what they're up against
That's
and
right.
how to become equipped. Now, let's talk about the heart. Okay.
Sure.
So the heart, that's you, Mary, training, overview, and action steps. So
Yes.
from check-in, prayer to the pledge, how does a day in the training really transform leaders into bold sentinels?
Yeah, so the training is very important. So the founding principles will be trained. We're going to give them some training on the founding principles, the civics
Okay.
part of it. And then the threats, they need to understand the specifics of those threats, though. They will learn. I'm not going to get into that, what we're going to do, because when they get here, I mean, you know, there's things that we have to, have to certainly be careful of, and they have to understand that, in order to protect, you also have to be secure, and things need to be kept in intel. Okay, intel is very important, and
Yes.
that's where your community can come into, because you can have people inside your church doing certain things, specific things inside your church that will help protect and take care of your people and your communities, because you have a lot of power in your communities. Staying informed is very important for, having a committee in a church that stays informed on what's going on and what are those threats, what is going on. Has a child been missing? Has a child been, or has there been a what do you call it? A rally that is like, we had one down here with all the transgender, and it was shut down
Mhm.
because the community and the churches came forward and said, we don't want this. We don't want our children to see this stuff. Pornography, books in pornography, these things, these are important things that the community needs to find out about. And so the training will get in depth of the threats in your community. We're going to bring this area into it. So we have already identified exactly what's going on in this community. And that's what we'll do when we go into a region or a community. We will identify those ideas and those threats and those kinds of situations that are going on in their community that they can target. So we'll teach them how to target and actually get the work done, how to stop these threats, how to deal with these threats.
Beautiful.
So we're going to really get in depth of that overview, that training, and the action steps will be given to them. There's a series of actions that you need to take. There's a process that needs to be done, and we will give them that process, and it will be a good process. And we continue this
Beautiful.
process.
Yeah, that is so key, Mary. Satan's goal is for us to feel powerless, right?
That's
So
right.
people will either do nothing, right? And then just stay in that stuck place. But that is a lie from the pit of hell. You are providing a way for people to truly get into action. You're providing them with the know-how, the how-tos, which is key in taking your power back. So let me ask you this. Before we close out today, I've got two more questions for you. How does Project Defend and how does all that tie in?
So we started 2 years ago, I started that, and I put a team. So you can't, no one organization can do this. You can't stop child trafficking in one organization. And it's the reason why it's so bad now. Not every organization is a good organization. I mean, we have an economy now that is like, why are we so bad here? If you've been doing that, I always question, if you've been doing that work, why are we here today? So what I did was my whole idea and vision was to put the best of the best team together. Because through their time and talents and treasures, we can give the best, experience, tools, and education to people. And we've been going in churches. We've done 11 states.
Wow,
and we've been in very dark places. We just finished, like you said, Oxnard, and putting the right people in the right places and giving this information to people is very important. So these Get in the Fights have been tremendous. I mean, the networks that we can build through those Get in the Fights has been terrific. People have been placed. There's active, work being done constantly when we leave a place too. So we give them this tool, but there's active, action going on. There's action now. People are motivated to do things. Everybody can do something. There's something you can do. So when I went in, and so we've been into all the churches. So going into the churches, I discovered that we need to make sure that the pastors have this leadership information. They can lead. And we've been in, and by the way, we've tried to get into some churches, and some churches won't take us. So that's when you know that that's a church that you really don't know if you want to be a part of. Okay. Because
Mhm.
for us not to, we're no threat. We're giving the truth. We're all about them. We're all about the community. I don't want anything from them. I just need to get my team there and do the work. And then we leave and we continue to do the work. So what we did was, that's what we did. So we went into church and I discovered we need to get the pastors trained. My brother and Boone did this Roll of the Church book. And when I finished reading
Beautiful.
it, my thing was, okay,
Mm.
we've got to bring God back into this country.
Mhm.
And we got to do it through the parish leaders, from the
Yes.
pastors, because that's where we saw COVID. Some of them didn't stand up for their people. They shut their doors. We can't have pastors shutting doors anymore because the government tells them to shut their doors. It can't happen. They have to have the tools and the education to understand what their power is over the government too. The government does not rule us. We rule the government. And we
That's
have to
right.
do the same thing with the church. The churches
That's right.
rule the church. They rule this country. And
Well
that's what
said.
we need. And otherwise, get out of the way. I say get out of the way.
I love it, Mary. I love it. All
That-
right. So here we go. I want you to imagine this. You now have equipped every church, because here's what's happened.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, I want you to really see this for a second. Now the churches begin to partner with you
Yeah,
and they begin to teach these trainings.
that's right.
And it's all throughout the entire
right.
United States of America. So I want you to tell me, what is the impact of a church, the church,
Huge.
when it is now equipped?
Oh, it's huge. It's massive. It can grow throughout the whole state, the local, state, and federal. I mean, it's massive. We don't. It was only 3% that fought for this country when it was
Mm.
founded. Only 3%. 3% is a larger amount today because there's more people. Okay, and there's more churches, but all we need is 3%. So if you
That's
think about that, it's all we need, and we don't need the wasteful, the scraps, the people that don't want to fight anymore. We don't have time for that. It's a massive one parish, one pastor, one minister can make a huge difference. There's a pastor down here that has 15,000 people, and he's doing incredible. So
Wow.
my point is,
Mm.
if we can clean our country back up, okay, clean it up, bring it back to God, bring our God-given duty. This was given to us. This country was given to us for a specific. Imagine the world. And I said this in my brother's movie,
Wow.
that the impact would impact the world. The world, look at Ireland, look at France, look at Italy, look at all the countries standing up against governments that are hurting them, that are taking away their rights, and they're taking away their worship rights, their God-given rights.
Right.
And so we are going to impact the world. It's going to be a massive movement, and it's going to be the Lord is going to be thrilled. I mean, we are hurt. We have hurt the Lord. We've offended him so much. My biggest fight and my biggest drive is the fact that I cry. My cry at night when I'm alone is that we've hurt him so badly. And we as Christians need to fix that. And we need to make that right with God. We cannot offend him the way we've been offending him. It hurts me that we've offended him so much.
Yes.
And we need to make that right. That hurts me the most. And I've seen in children, it hurts me the most, but really it's God. We've offended him so much that it's very hard for me.
Yes.
That's my drive. We've got to make it right. We got to make it right.
What a watershed conversation. We've got to make it right. Pastors, this is your Isaiah moment. Hungry patriots, leaders, this is your Isaiah 6 moment. And the scripture is, then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send? And who will go for us? And I said, here I am, send me.
That's right.
That is our scripture for this time. We all are here for such a time as this, and the time is now. Mary Flynn, your final call to action today.
Get in the fight. Fight like a Flynn. Get in that fight and know the Lord Jesus Christ. Know him. Get to know him personally. You will be so happy in your life. It will be the most wonderful thing. Look at Charlie, talked about that all the time, how happy it changed his life. Get to know Lord Jesus Christ. Put him in your life.
Yes.
Put him in your life.
Then you will know the truth.
And you'll know the
and
truth.
the truth will set you free.
That's
Mary
right.
Flynn, you are such a blessing. And I am going to pull this up one more time. I want everybody to see, guys, take action. If you're sitting on the fence, ouch, that hurts to sit on the fence. Get off now. This, if you've been waiting for your call, it is now. Stand in the gap. Step into the fight with us. Fight like Charlie. Fight like Jesus. Fight like the Flynns. Come on. The role of the church action training. The QR code is below. Go access that code. Hover your phone over that. You can, it'll pop on up. Click onto that. Go get your ticket. Yes, maybe you got to buy a flight. It's worth it. This is the watershed moment. If you've been asking, how do I get involved? This is how you do it. And God will give you everything you need. You only need to have faith and take action in that faith. And you can find all information at americasfuture.net. That's americasfuture.net. Mary Flynn, thank you for being with us at the Take Your Power Back Show.
Very much. Thank you.
Mwah. God bless you. And we're going to have you back soon.
Thank you. Thank you. I love it. Thank you very much.
Thank
God bless
you.
you guys.
God bless you. Mary Flynn, guys, what an absolute honor. Here's the deal. Believers, America is at a crossroads right now, but you hold the torch. We, the people, hold the torch. And join us today. Join our pastors training, our leaders training. Stand boldly for righteousness. Defend the truth. Lead in this spiritual battle. Be a leader. Local action ripples nationally. Equip your church. Protect our kids. Restore the republic. That's right. I said it. Restore the republic. Who's ready? Did you hear it? Here I am. Here I am. Here I am. Send me. That's you. Go to americasfuture.net. Go right now, americasfuture.net. It's time for we the people to take our God-given power back. Now, closing out today's show, I want to remind you that every bit of the way, we are going to take our power back on a local level. We don't take those words lightly from the Flynn family and from our good General Flynn. General Flynn says local action equals national impact. And if you have not seen our extraordinary event that's coming up and you haven't locked and loaded in the state of California, it's now time to get in the fight. Join the Flynns, number one. Go to that event. They're going to be having events throughout the country. Maybe you can't get to Florida right now, but maybe you can have one in Georgia. And you're a church leader that says, Flynns, come this way. America's future, come this way. Equip us, train us up. We're hungry. We want to know what to do. They're there to support americasfuture.net. Now, if you are local in the state of California, maybe you're not local, but you know that California has an impact on the entire nation, then I want to share my screen with you guys right now. I'm going to share two things with you. I'm going to share this. Fight like Charlie. Guys, this is a big deal. This is our event, our Take Our California Back event. This event is shaking things up, and I'm going to tell you why. You've got 10 gubernatorial candidates who share your values all in one place. I said it, they're all in one place. in San Marcos, California at Awaken Church. So is Awaken Church one of those churches that are standing up and who have been standing up for the beginning? You bet your booty they have. It's my church and I love my church. It's God's church. You want to be part of a community that stands up, that speaks up, that takes action, and that follows God's word and makes Jesus the Lord of their life. Tap on in to this event. This is the Take Your Power Back California Governor Showdown. It is going to be absolutely extraordinary. This is a watershed moment. I want you to imagine on November 8th, all value-sharing gubernatorial candidates united in one epic place, debate, strategies, fire for freedom. Don't miss this turning point. Grab your tickets today at takeourcaliforniaback.com. If you are a vendor, if you would like to sponsor this event, if you are a candidate vying for another position in the state of California, go to takeourcaliforniaback.com. Keep the flame alive. This is your opportunity to join us in the fight to take our California back. Friends, patriots, I just love you. I love being in the fight with you. And I love getting to be with you here every single week and bringing you the truth tellers, the overcomers, your freedom-loving patriots. You can find us on all platforms. First, go to takeyourpowerbackshow.com. It'll connect you to all of our platforms and donate, support us, keep freedom alive. You can donate to the Take Your Power Back Show by going to takeyourpowerbackshow.com. You can also find our Rumble channel, our X, our Instagram, True Social. You'll find us everywhere. And what we're known for at the Take Your Power Back Show is partnering with all of our podcasters and broadcasters throughout the country. We have been so blessed because of the partnership, and we're doing the same thing with the Showdown. We are partnering with broadcasters and podcasters to get this out far and wide. And with all of us together, we've reached millions. That's what it's going to take. It's going to take all of us being united and working together to take our California back, to take our America back. Now, with that being said, make sure you get your tickets. Make sure you get into the fight. You join the Flynns. You fight like a Flynn. You join the Showdown. You fight like Charlie. You fight like Jesus. And you take your power back. I love you. May God bless you. May God bless this country. And like Mary Flynn O'Neill said, seek God. Make Jesus the Lord of your life. Get to know this Jesus. He's pretty amazing. And if you've ever felt stuck, I'm telling you, his word is living and active. It will get you unstuck. I love you. I'll see you on the other side. May God bless you abundantly as you take your power back.
Thank you for joining us for the Take Your Power Back show. As Peak Performance Breakthrough Coach Kim Yeater speaks to other freedom-loving Americans that are making a positive impact in the world by standing in truth amid adversity. Listen in weekly and learn how to take your power back in your freedom, in your personal and professional life, in technology and creativity, and in your faith. Be encouraged, be inspired, be transformed as you step into your power and take action in your leadership and allow your voice to be heard. Together, let's take your power back. To sponsor and support the Take Your Power Back show, go to takeyourpowerbackshow.com. That's takeyourpowerbackshow.com and take your power back.